I'm Lizzie and this is Lizzie Reads, and welcome to my August wrap-up. It's a bit of a short one this month. I haven't wrapped up. I can't remember the last time I did a wrap-up video, to be honest with you, but I have been reading a lot less than I normally do. That's not to say that there isn't a large amount of books on this wrap-up. There are 7 books. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I often read a lot more than this, usually like double this, sometimes even triple, often. But I usually read a lot more audiobooks and I read a lot more sort of shorter books, and but this month I only seem to have read those longer books that I would have read anyway, so it's probably like a similar style wrap-up, just without the fluff. So I'm just going to get straight into it because it's been a while and I don't want to waffle too much. The first book I finished in August was The Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan. This was in my Back to Fantasy reading vlog number 1. So yeah, this was in the middle grade portion of that. I know it's YA, but it felt like a middle grade, like it felt like it fit the section. I explained it in the video, but this is book 3 in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the series that follows on from the Percy Jackson series. It features Percy Jackson and many of the friends that we knew and old. I really like it. It's really, really good fun. There's not much more I can say at this point, but if you think that you missed the boat on Percy Jackson because you never read it when you were younger and you just feel like it's one of those things you've got to have nostalgia for, I picked these up for the first time last year and I love them. And now I just automatically have that nostalgia, like it's like it was there all along, but I just have it, so I do really enjoy it, and it is really good fun, and they're really fun, quick, easy reads. I don't much else to say about it other than the fact I think I gave it 4 stars. I'll have a look. I gave it 4 stars, so it was pretty good. Not one of my favourites in the series so far, but yes, still pretty good. Next, I read Corrupt My Mind by Kelsey Clayton, and this is what it looks like. This was just a Kindle Unlimited random book pick. I haven't been reading a lot of KU romances recently. I've been really hammering on my physical TBR, which has been great. But I haven't read any of this sort, and when I saw this in my journal that I'd read it, I thought, what on earth book was that? I cannot remember it. And then as soon as I looked at the cover, I remembered. It's like set in an American university, and it's about a girl, her brother's best friend, and they have like a little relationship. So I believe actually that this series is a companion series to a previous series of Kelsey Clayton's. I may pick up at some point the sequels in this series, but I wasn't compelled to pick it up straight away like I normally do. Normally when I read romance series, especially on Kindle Unlimited, I'll read from like 1 to 10, like back to back. There's no stopping me. But it wasn't that good to get there. It was a very high drama romance, so there was lots of like kidnapping and drugs and blah blah blah, which sometimes I like, sometimes I don't like. It depends how it's done. This was only a 3 stars. I enjoyed it, but not that much. Then next in my Back to Fantasy part 1 reading vlog, I read Inkheart. I'll link that video down below so you can sort of see my thoughts on it. But Inkheart is by Cornelia Funk, and it is the story of Meggie and her dad. And her dad, Mo, when he reads aloud, characters and things come to life from the books that he's reading. And Meggie doesn't know this, and she's taken on this whirlwind adventure. It's not so much an adventure, but like she's sort of brought into this like dangerous situation. I liked this. I was sort of familiar with it because I read the first sort of 200 pages when I was a kid. Don't think I ever continued, and I think that's because it is quite low on the adventure scale. That's why I hesitated earlier. I went to call it an adventure. It doesn't feel very adventurous. It's very fun. Very nice. I feel like it's more like the middle grade for adults, if you know what I mean. I really enjoyed it, and I will be continuing at some point, just not some point now. I didn't give this a star rating, but I'd probably give it like a 3.75, 4 stars, because it is really good, but like it wasn't amazing. So it is amazing, but like not for me. Like it just didn't hit me right. It didn't hit me in the chest. Then next I listened to I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jennette McCurdy. Everyone's been talking about this recently. It's on Scribd. If you haven't listened to it, please, if you've got a Scribd account, just give it a go. Jennette McCurdy of iCarly and Sam and Cat fame, and also being infamous now for speaking out against Nickelodeon and the treatment of like child actors by Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider, and also her like horribly abusive relationship she had with her mother and her family life. The way it's narrated by herself, and this memoir is so interesting and impactful because of the way it's told. She has a very dry sense of humour, and I liked that. She could be really frank and be really open, and it was to the point. It wasn't fluffy. I liked the vignette style it was told. I just felt it was really impactful and a really important read, especially as someone who grew up watching these shows, to sort of adjust the way I think about these times and what happens to these child actors. And I gave it 5 stars because of all of those things. Next, I read The Fine Print. That's the one here by Lauren Asher. I gave this 3 stars. I was really, really hyped for this. And it features in my Hyped Romance rating blog. And it fell very, very short for me. The characters left a lot to be desired. The way they spoke about each other, the smut was a bit boring. The setting was amazing and fantastic. It just fell very, very short. There was a lot of lacking in tension. I linked the video down below so you can hear more about it. But I do personally think that this could have been so much more. But I endeavour to see the sequels and see if they improve upon this. Because I didn't mention it, this is set in Dreamland. It's the Dreamland Billionaires series about the 3 grandsons who inherit what is Dreamland, which is basically Disneyland. And they have tasks to complete in order to fulfill their inheritance, to stop it going to their father, who they do not like, which is all well and good. The setting is fantastic, and basically Zahar is editing intermission. I actually think I've been pronouncing her name wrong. I think her name is pronounced Zara. I think I just, for some reason, I got that's how her name was pronounced in my head. But I watched the Cliterature book club live show this morning, and they all pronounced it Zara. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, FYI. A worker there, and she critiques the Disneyland's like biggest and newest ride because she actually came up with the idea and it was stolen by someone else and made worse. And she then becomes a creator, which is basically an Imagineer, if you've watched the documentary on Disney Plus, which I did in lockdown. And this is that sort of thing, but it just very much lacked on a lot of the key parts that I want in romance novels. The next one is a romance book that I didn't have too high hopes for, but very, very much surprised me. This is Until I Met You by Amber Rose Gill, who is a winner of Love Island from a few years previously. One of my favourite contestants ever, very dry, very funny, and I was really rooting for her because I really love Love Island. And when I heard that she was releasing a book, because I really liked her, I really wanted to support her and buy it, but also I was hesitant because a lot of famous people will release books and then they're not very good sometimes, and I was hesitant because I didn't want to be disappointed, but actually I was very, very pleasantly surprised. This was a very vivid read for me. I read it all in one evening. I absorbed the story straight away. Like, it was very vivid. I could see it so well. I felt like the writing was really good. For a romance, it's more of like it leans to the rom-com side of things, because it's a lot heavily on the extra cast of characters and the setting and the little backstories, but I loved that. It's about a young woman called Samantha. She's going to her friend's wedding in Tobago, and Basically her boyfriend of 2 years breaks up with her just before she's about to fly. So she's freshly single and she's fine, like it wasn't right for her, but she's still just a bit disheartened, and she meets Roman and they have a bit of a holiday fling. And it just creates a very nice atmosphere. It was a really good summer read. I definitely recommend it, to be honest with you. It was so easy to read and just really fun. So I'm glad that I read it. I can't remember how much I gave it, so let's have a look. I didn't, but I think I'll probably give it a good 4.5 because I was quite happy with it. And for the last book I completed in August is You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the second Emily Henry I've read now, and I like this one much better than the first. I actually gave it 4 stars. It is about, I can't remember the characters' names, Poppy and Alex. So Poppy and Alex met 12 years ago at their college orientation. They didn't make a great start, but they then became friends a year later, and then they drove home to their hometown together, and they decided to do a road trip or a holiday each year. And it's told through those years, and on the road trip 2 years ago from the current state of this story, something happened and they stopped speaking, but they were best friends at this point. Over the course of the first 3 years, they become just absolute besties, you know, ride or die kind of friendship. And you don't know what that something is, and that really drove the story because I wanted to know what was happening, and there was a lot of subplot like self-discovery and everything, and I really liked that. It was really sweet, it was really tender, the way they were sort of like trying to reconnect, and it was quite a slow start, but I really liked it, and it's kind of changed my opinion on what the potential of friends to lovers could be. So yeah, I have really high hopes for the next Emily Henry that I read, hopefully this month because it's in my TBR. But that's all I read this month. I did quite well in comparison to months previously, and I'm sort of picking up the pace of reading again, but we'll see how I get on. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will chat to you again soon.